Catching up at 40, the real financial playbook nobody gives you. The standard advice says, by age 40, you should have 3 times your annual salary saved for retirement. Most people your age have not hit that number. And here is what the benchmark does not mention. It was built around someone who started investing at 22, captured every employer match from day one, never had a meaningful gap in employment, never carried significant consumer debt, and lived somewhere that housing costs did not eat half their paycheck. That person exists. They are not most people. The mistake I want to help you avoid is spending the next decade chasing a target that was never calibrated for your actual life, using a strategy designed for someone who is never behind, because that approach does not just fail to help you catch up. It quietly aims you at the wrong destination entirely. Think of it this way. When a pilot files a flight plan, being off by a single degree at takeoff feels like nothing on the runway. But across the length of an ocean, 1 degree of deviation puts the plane hundreds of miles from its intended destination. The passengers look out the window at open water, wondering what happened to the coastline they expected. Financial decisions work the same way. The car payment that felt manageable at 28. The retirement account you kept meaning to open. The raise you never pushed for because the timing never felt right. None of those felt like disasters in the moment. They felt like an ordinary Tuesday. But they were 1 degree off course, compounding quietly across years. This entire video is about finding where your flight plan deviated and, more importantly, recalculating the route from exactly where you are right now. Why the standard savings advice is broken for late starters. Save 15% of your income for retirement. That rule is everywhere in personal finance books, in company enrollment packets, in every article your financially organized friends share. It is not technically wrong. It is incomplete in a way that makes it useless for a large portion of the people who receive it. Because it carries invisible assumptions, nobody states clearly. Run the actual numbers. You are 40 years old, earning $65,000 per year, with $35,000 saved for retirement. That is close to the median situation for Americans in this age range. If you save 15% going forward, $9,700 per year, at a 7% average annual return over 25 years, you accumulate approximately $640,000 at a 4% withdrawal rate that generates $25,600 per year from your portfolio. Add Social Security at full retirement age, roughly $22,000 annually on a typical earnings history, and your total retirement income comes to about $47,600 per year in today's purchasing power. That is below the current median household income in the United States. It is survivable. It is not the financial independence most people are picturing when they imagine what they are working toward. And here is the harder truth. The reason most people end up behind is not primarily mathematical. It is behavioral. Research from Princeton and Harvard published in the journal Science showed that people operating under financial pressure demonstrated measurably reduced cognitive performance, not because they were less capable, but because mental bandwidth was occupied with immediate problems rather than long-term planning. The person who could not save consistently in their 20s or early 30s was not lazy. They were processing under difficult conditions, and those conditions do not leave much capacity for compound interest calculations and 30-year projections. Removing the shame from the diagnosis matters because it reframes the problem. This is a systems problem. Systems problems have system solutions. That is what the rest of this video is about. The real problem is income, not savings rate. Here is the reversal most financial content never makes clearly. You probably think the problem is your savings rate. The actual problem may be that your income is not high enough for any standard savings rate to produce the retirement you are imagining. Those are different diagnoses. They require different treatments. Cutting expenses has a flaw. You can reduce your cost of living so far and no further before you are making your present genuinely miserable in ways that are not sustainable. Canceling subscriptions saves a few $100s a year. Meaningful reductions in housing and transportation matter more, but they still have a mathematical ceiling. Your income has no ceiling. The specific, uncomfortable truth about income after 40 is that most people accept whatever their current employer is willing to pay, which is determined by what it costs to retain them, not by what their skills actually command in the current market. That gap can be 10 to 20% or more above what is currently appearing on your paycheck. Compensation data from payroll analytics consistently shows that people who changed jobs in recent years saw median pay increases above 9% from the transition alone. People who stayed at the same employer averaged 4 to 5% annually, compounded over a decade on a base salary of $80,000. That trajectory difference represents somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 in cumulative earnings. That is not a rounding error. That is close to 20 years of Roth IRA contributions sitting on. The cost of professional loyalty is measurable. It does not appear on any statement your employer sends you. The highest leverage moment to push for a significant income increase is not when you are desperate and accepting anything available, and not when you are comfortable enough that you have stopped thinking about it. It is right after you have stabilized your financial foundation, an emergency buffer in place, high-interest debt cleared, automated contributions running. At that point, you can negotiate from strength. You can decline a poor offer and wait for the right one. The financial cushion does not eliminate career risk. It converts that risk from catastrophic to manageable. The hidden tax liability inside most retirement accounts here is something most people at 40 do not realize. The retirement savings structure they have built may be quietly accumulating a six-figure tax liability that does not appear anywhere on their account statements. It will not feel like a problem today. It will feel like a very expensive problem 20 years from now, when they begin withdrawing funds and discover a tax bill attached to every distribution. Consider two colleagues, same company, same starting salary, same employer match, same career start date. The first has been meticulous. He has maxed his traditional pre-tax retirement account every year, without exception, taken every cent of the employer match, and watched an impressive balance accumulate over 2 decades. What he has not fully reckoned with is that every single dollar in that account will be taxed as ordinary income when he withdraws it. Every distribution, every year, taxed at whatever rate applies when he needs the money. He has placed an entirely unintentional bet on stable or declining tax rates across a 30-year retirement. The second does things slightly differently. She contributes enough to her traditional account to capture the full employer match. She is not leaving free money behind. But then she maxes a Roth IRA every year, paying tax on those contributions up front. Her visible balance looks smaller, but her Roth withdrawals in retirement are completely and permanently tax-free. 30 years of compounding, never taxed. On a $500,000 Roth balance over a 30-year retirement, the difference in total tax exposure between these two situations could be $150,000 to $200,000. Depending on what happens to tax brackets, and major tax code revisions have happened multiple times in recent decades. She did not earn more, save more, or take more risk. She aimed a flight plan 1 degree differently at the beginning. If you are catching up at 40, tax diversification, meaningful balances in both traditional pre-tax accounts and Roth after-tax accounts, is one of the highest leverage structural decisions available to you right now. You are not trying to predict the future. You are removing a variable you have no ability to control from your retirement math. The window to establish this efficiently is still open. The catch-up sequence. 3 levels in order. The sequence matters more than the individual amounts. Most people who attempt to catch up get the order badly wrong. Here is a realistic scenario. Someone 41 years old, earning $80,000 per year, with $42,000 in an old retirement account from a previous job, sitting in a default fund he selected during a rushed onboarding and has not looked at since. $16,000 in savings, $13,000 in credit card debt across 3 cards at an average interest rate above 19%. A car payment of $640 per month on a vehicle bought new 3 years ago. This person is paying approximately $2,500 per year in credit card interest alone. Not investing it, not growing it, just transferring it to someone else's compounding. The car payment adds another $7,700 per year, flowing into a depreciating asset. Together, those 2 items consume over $10,000 annually of potential wealth-building capacity. Because they are automatic monthly debits, they feel like fixed conditions of life, rather than decisions that can be changed. They are decisions. Decisions can change. Level 1. Stop the bleeding. Take $12,000 from savings and eliminate the 2 highest rate credit cards immediately. Keep $4,000 as a liquid emergency buffer in a separate account treated as untouchable. That firewall matters because the primary reason people repeat the credit card cycle while trying to pay off debt is an unexpected expense with no backup. The car breaks down. A medical bill arrives. Back onto the card it goes. $4,000 stops that pattern. The freed cash flow from eliminated minimum payments handles the remaining balance within a few months. $2,500 per year in interest payments stops. That money is no longer leaving the household to produce nothing. Level 2. Build the engine. Contact the old employer's retirement account provider and initiate a direct rollover into a traditional IRA at a low-cost brokerage. No tax event, no penalty, a clean transfer. Moving from a default fund with a high expense ratio to a total market index fund at roughly 0.03% annual cost recovers significant compounding over 2 decades, $18,000 from a single phone call and a form. 1 degree of correction. Open a Roth IRA simultaneously, then consider the car honestly. Private sale proceeds on the current vehicle, combined with the purchase of a reliable used car for slightly more, can eliminate the monthly car payment entirely. $640 per month, previously funding depreciation. Roughly $7,700 per year, redirected to Roth IRA contributions at 7% annual return over 24 years compounds to approximately $365,000. $365,000 from a car decision. Level 3. Scale the input. Research what your experience level and role actually command in the current market. Have 3 conversations with other companies over 6 weeks, not from desperation, but to collect accurate information about external market value. Use any offer received to negotiate, or make a move if the numbers justify it. The critical step, the week before the first paycheck at the new rate. Increase retirement contributions and confirm automated transfers are running. The checking account should never register the raise as discretionary money. Configure the default before it arrives. Project the compounding from that position over 25 years, and the destination changes completely. Not because any individual step was heroic, but because 1 degree, held consistently, compounded across distance. Why smart people stay stuck anyway. Behavioral economists call it status quo bias, the tendency to prefer the current state not because it is optimal, but because changing it requires effort, and the cost of inaction is invisible today. When you do nothing, it does not register as doing something negative, it registers as neutral. In compounding financial terms, neutral is a loss. Every month of delayed contributions is a month of compounding, forfeited at the exact point in life when compounding is operating over its most powerful remaining time horizon. A landmark study of workplace retirement accounts found that switching from opt-in to opt-out enrollment at a large company raised participation rates from below 50% to close to 90%. Same employees, same match, same plan, same information. The only variable that changed was the default behavior. The architecture of the decision determined the outcome, not the quality of the decision makers. This is why automation is not a convenience feature in financial planning. It is structurally superior to willpower as a savings mechanism. The best financial behavior is the behavior that happens automatically when you do nothing. Set the default correctly once, then step back and let it run. Someone 9 years into the same job, with a retirement contribution rate that was set on the first day and never revisited, who has been meaning to open a Roth IRA for the past 3 years, that person does not have an information problem. They have an inertia problem. The absence of urgency produced by a situation that does not hurt is one of the most effective wealth-building stoppers that exists. Unlike a financial crisis, it never hurts enough in the present to force movement. Changing one contribution percentage in a web portal could mean the difference between roughly $500,000 and roughly $1 million in accumulated assets over the remaining working years. The information is not the barrier. 3 practical actions this week, not someday. This week. First, calculate your exact net worth today with real numbers. Assets minus liabilities, written down with specific figures in a document you can update. Not a feeling, not an estimate, the precise number. Most people navigating their financial lives are doing so by approximation. And that approximation is almost always wrong in at least one significant way. There is something else that happens when you see the real number clearly. The low-grade financial anxiety that lives in ambiguity begins to sharpen into something actionable. Vagueness is not comfort. It is unprocessed stress that consumes mental bandwidth without producing any useful information. The real number, however uncomfortable, gives you something to actually navigate from. You cannot recalculate a route you have not accurately plotted. Second, automate the gap between your income and your savings target before lifestyle expenses find it. Every raise, every bonus, every incremental income increase should have a corresponding automatic transfer already configured before the first paycheck arrives at the new level. The money should never reach your checking account in a way your brain registers as available to spend. Set the default to the correct behavior once. Then, do not override it the next time something more immediately appealing appears. Third, understand your market value and test it. Your income is the numerator in your entire financial life. Not your savings rate, not your asset allocation, not your fund selection, the income. Increase the numerator and everything downstream shifts. Research what your experience level and skill set actually command right now. Do one informational conversation. Submit one application to understand what the market says you are worth. Have one conversation with a recruiter in your field. Not necessarily because you are leaving, because knowing your options is the foundation of negotiating from strength rather than fear. One well-timed salary negotiation executed from a position of financial stability rather than desperation can recover more value than 5 years of optimized expense reduction. You are in your peak earning years. The lever is there. Most people fly right past it. The only thing that changes the destination. The people who end up financially stable at 60 are not, in most cases, the ones who found the most sophisticated strategy, or timed the market correctly, or discovered some vehicle the rest of the market had not priced in. They are the ones who found the right direction and refused to deviate from it, borrowing month after borrowing month, when nothing felt like momentum, when the balance grew slowly, when nobody was paying attention. Many of them started late. Many were behind at 40 in ways that looked worse on paper than yours. They made it anyway, not because the math was easy or the timing was perfect, but because they recalculated the route from wherever they actually were and kept flying. One degree, held consistently, compounded across distance. The clock is running. The route is recalculable. You know what to do.